Hi guys. Ran out here real quick, trying to get like the last 10 minutes of sunlight. Let me put this up so you can see like a little bit of my head, so my head isn't cut off. Anyway, we'll make some seed starting trays real quick. I'll show you how I do my soil blocking technique. I've been using this plastic-free soil mold, if you will, for the last maybe 6-7 years, and I absolutely love it. This thing has held up amazing. I can put a link in the description. But what it is basically, sorry, it's kind of squeaky. Let me water it. What it is it's basically a metal form. It's a metal form, and you compress blocks of soil that leave a little divot. You can see there's like a little nub on that. It's interchangeable, and you just plop your seeds in there. When your seeds grow, instead of getting root bound by the plastic, once they reach the edge of their block, they'll start to air prune, which means they'll basically stop themselves from growing. They'll kind of put themselves in suspension mode, if you will, and wait until they have more soil to continue expanding, which is the ideal situation, because if you're bad about getting them in the ground right away, or maybe a little bit of a procrastinator when it comes to like potting them up into bigger pots, this is the way to go, because they'll just kind of wait on you-ish. I've tested that limits even a little bit too. But what I want to do is I have some sifted extra fine seed starting mix that I've made. I've kind of fine-tuned this over the last several years to find a perfect mix of peat moss, compost, perlite, and some various fertilizers. But this is just sifted so it's extra fine and doesn't have like big chunks of twigs or whatever in it, okay? So I'll put some dry mix here. And then, I mean, usually you use gloves, but at this point I just don't even use gloves anymore. You wet it down. You're going for like a wet peanut butter kind of consistency is the best way I can describe it. And you're gonna have to work it in and like let it sit for a minute to absorb all the moisture. So if it's crumbly like that, it's too dry still. You want to be able to have just a little bit of water squeeze out your fingers when you squeeze it. I say this and I'm like, great, is that twigs that I'm squeezing, or am I like, do I have my hands in like a fire mound? We'll find out. Okay. So you mix the dry mix, again a mixture of compost, peat moss, perlite, I have some blood meal in here, and some, what else do I have in here? Rock phosphate and green sand. Okay, so this is perfect. You can see it's kind of like a dry oatmeal, peanut buttery consistency. I don't know how else to explain it. You'll be able to tell because when you squeeze it, like a little bit of water should kind of squeeze out. So you want to bunch this all up into like a mountain of one side, where it helps to have like an old spatula that you've left out in the rain and has gotten rusty. Perfect use for this. See, it's not a mistake. It's a happy discovery. That's what I tell my husband when I leave his tools out in the rain. Okay, so mountain of dirt. Again, these are interchangeable. I'll show you a little bit closer so you can see here what I'm talking about. Coming around. This is the mold. It's got a spring here. You compress the blocks out. So once you load it up with all of the dirt, you're gonna push down really hard and load it up with compressed blocks of soil. And then you're basically eject it out into the whatever tray you're using. I can show you what I used, and then a couple different options. I mean, you can use an old baking sheet if you needed to, but it has these little interchangeable plugs. So this is the 1-inch plug, maybe it's 3/4 inch, I don't know. You can see that this would be like for a zucchini or a cucumber or a seed that's really big that needs to be planted deeper. This is what I use for everything else. Even if it's like 1/8 of an inch depth for planting, I'll still use these little, I guess that's, what is that, a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch? These little 1/2 inch nubs. And then I'll just barely cover it with like vermiculite. So I don't need to make a bajillion different seed depth plugs. We've kind of learned that that just is sufficient. So now that you see what I'm using, I'm gonna go make some trays. What I use and what I've made a long time ago were these just scrap wood. It's really thin plywood on the bottom, and then it has 3 sides of just, again, scrap 1x2 or 1x4 actually. Elliot Coleman, if you look up seed soil blocking Elliot Coleman, he's kind of who pioneered this method, so to speak, and you'll see all kinds of different tutorials. Again, you can use what do you call it? Oh my god, a cookie sheet. Sorry, a cookie sheet. Or when you go to the garden center at like Lowe's or Home Depot, they have those kind of like lattice-looking plastic trays that they recycle and like you can take for free. So repurpose it, take those and make some soil blocks out of it. I've even used, in a pinch, hardware cloth, a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch, because I have some trays that are not, you know, that have seen better days. I'll show you what they look like. They've seen better days. They're falling apart and rotten. I just used untreated scrap plywood, but you can use just even a piece of hardware cloth. Tuck it inside one of those. Whatever you have around, it's pretty forgiving. Basically, you just need to be able to keep the soil flat where you can water from underneath. I water from underneath after they've sprouted because it stops the foliage disease and all that kind of stuff. All right, so let's make a couple of these before I literally run out of. This is a concrete mixing tub I got from a hardware store. All right, so here's what we do. We kind of, not the big twigs, couple got through, mound it up, and then you're just compacting it in really good. You know, once or twice, 2 or 3 times, depending on how even you get your mountain. Then I use my handy spatula, and I just give it a little, even it off. Okay, then I go wherever I want to put my blocks. I'm kind of pushing down on this plug as I'm pulling up this so that I can kind of, there we go. And that is a amazing soil block. I'll come show you. My hands are a little dirty. But yeah, this is what we're making. Soil blocks. It's got a little divot in the center there. And the more the roots grow through the plant, the more intact this block will be, but makes super hardy, super happy vegetable starts because they get everything they need and they stop growing once they reach the air. So I'll make a whole flat of these. It's plastic free. I don't have to worry about sterilizing. I don't gotta worry about sterilizing all these plastic pots every year. Like, the quicker and easier and less steps for me, the better. So I'll just keep on going with this because I don't gotta worry about sterilizing all those stupid plastic pots. These fit perfect. I'll post a picture of and so to keep track of what plants are what, I've actually made up this little graph on Microsoft Word that has a little U shape that indicates the back and sides with the 4 blocks times, I think it's 32. And then I just write on my template, my paper template, where on the flat each plant is, just to keep track of. I can't do 2 things at once. Where to keep track of what the plant is. The first year I did this, I cut out little individual plant markers for every stinking block and put it next to each one. And by the end, the water had knocked over all of the markers. They were all over the place. I had no idea what anything was. It was a nightmare. This was much smarter way to use this system. But once you get your trays made or figured out or whatever you want to do, these things have lasted us 4 or 5 years, 4 years maybe, 5 years probably. And again, it was just scrap wood we put together. So the mold I think is like 50 bucks. It comes with a little one too, which is this tiny little micro one. This one has 20 in each. And the theory is you can put a square plug in here, which is interchangeable. And then you can kind of pop those up, sit these micro ones into the bigger ones. But that's just an extra step that I found was just another way for me to forget and procrastinate on. So I decided I'm gonna start them in here, even though they're probably way too big for the little tiny seedlings. They grow into them, and it fits my lifestyle. But that, I mean, there it is. It's just super easy. You just keep going along and loading the form. Every once in a while, you get a high spot and just knock it down and spread the dirt out a little bit more evenly. And there you go. And every once in a while, every other one or so, you should kind of get, this is just a bucket of water. I just rinse it just to kind of lubricate the mold and stop all the stuff from getting gunked up in there. Comes off a lot easier if you do it every time, but I always forget, so clearly I'm on like one every 5. All right. So after I get my whole thing done, I keep these trays. Probably wondering, okay, well, how do you water it if it's a wooden tray? I bought these things online years ago. They were kind of pricey. They were like maybe 12 bucks a piece, but they're really durable. They're called Permanest. I have to double check that. Permanest containers. They're like heavy duty plastic, and they're not the flimsy, stupid, disposable seed starting ones, because those things they just get destroyed in holes, and I put them on my shelf and then I have water everywhere and I'm super mad. So these are really durable to carry in and out of like the house for my light rack, and they will last me again a couple of years. I've gotten to the point where I'm just going to spend a little bit of extra money and have it last me a couple of years than having to rebuy everything every year. So every tray will go in one of these. These are your pretty standard like seed starting flats. If you were to buy the Jiffy sectional, what are they called? Can't even think of what they're called now. The little plug, so it has like 72 in a pack. That would fit in here fine too, but this also fits perfect. Boom, there you go. So I've got my seed tray in my, this will hold the water. You can also buy the heavy duty domes that go with them. I bought these as well with it. It was just a couple bucks more, but again, it's a heavier duty plastic. It's pretty thick, and it fits perfect over. I like that they're high because I can give my plants a little bit more room to grow. Although once they start growing, you should take off the dome because it can cause mold and all that kind of stuff, fungal stuff. But so there you go. This is what a seed tray will look like. Again, obviously I need to do a couple more here. But after I put all of the seeds in my blocks, I'll go back with vermiculite, which is that really fine, it looks like mica, and I'll sprinkle it over to the appropriate depth of whatever the seed needs to be planted, and then give it a spray, and under the light it goes. It sprouts so much quicker than those like expandable peat moss things. Those things are just void of any nutrients in my opinion. I've never had good luck with healthy plants. So I've made my own, and I'll show you guys maybe the seed starting process once I can get inside and have some light. I'm losing daylight quick here, so I'm gonna make a couple more flats up. I have like a bajillion plants to start. But if you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I can try to answer them for you. But other than that, try to start a fall garden. Fall gardens are awesome. Bye.